Hello everyone, my name is John Cedric Shubal, a first-year medical student in the Philippines, and welcome to the third part of this video series regarding my medical school admission journey. And in this part of this video series, I will talk about what I did to get into the PLM College of Medicine and what my actual experiences are during the MCAT process. So without further ado, let's start. So before we start, I would like to invite you to watch my two previous videos. I discussed there the things that actually helped me for reviewing for NMAT, and if you're about to take the NMAT, make sure to check out those videos. Moving on to the MCAT requirements as of 2023, you will need to have the following: your birth certificate issued by the PSA or the Philippine Statistics Authority, your official NMAT result, the hard copy one and not the digital one that was sent to you through email, your official transcript of records if you're a graduate, and for undergraduates like me or someone who haven't graduated yet, I submitted my certification of grades showing all grades from my first year up to the fourth year first semester of my college years. So I got my certification of grades in our university registrar, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines registrar. You would also need to have your certificate of general weighted average or CGWA. So what I did here is that I brought my informative copy of grades and then I brought it to our department, the biology department, and the dean itself issued the certification of GWA. You would also need your certification of good moral, student's residence certificate or cedula. So I got mine in our city hall. Barangay clearance, you already know where to get this. And by clearance, your Form 137 if you underwent senior high school or grades 11 and 12. So for this one, I got mine in our university registrar again. So I secured a certified true copy of this. If you can't get a copy from your university registrar, you could also try to get a certified true copy from your senior high school. And I would like to share my experience on getting my Form 137. For me, this is the hardest one to get, since to get this document, it would take around 20 working days. So this is one of the requirements that you would really need to get on an earlier date. You would also need your vaccination card, so you should have 2 doses already for this. Your parents' ITR or internal revenue. ITR is needed for the assessment of your miscellaneous fee. Voter's registration with voting history. So this document is needed if you're a Manileño like me. And if you're a graduate from a university in Manila, you would also need this one if you want to get categorized other than Category 3 or the full paying, the one with the full tuition fee. We will talk more about this when we get to the scholarship categories. So for this document, you could only get this from the COMELEC Manila Division. If you're not familiar where that is, it's just near the central station of LRT. I think a lot of Manileños didn't know this, because I myself didn't know where to get the voting history. You can't get a voter certification with voting history other than in the COMELEC Manila Division. Aside from the previous requirements that I've mentioned, PLM is also the medical school in the Philippines that requires a prerequisite before you get admitted. So for this one, you need to get assessed talaga within the PLM itself, because if you would rely on just sending your email, then chances are you wouldn't get anything back, because that's what I experienced. Better to go to PLM personally and ask for an assessment of your subjects. So you should bring your informative copy of grades or a transcript of records for this, so that you could be assessed on what your missing units are. Because if you're found to have missing units, you would really need to take those before you get admitted. As a biology student who studied in the Polytechnic University of the Philippines under the microbiology track, may missing akong 2 units ng comparative vertebrate anatomy. Supposedly, you would need 5 units for either comparative vertebrate anatomy or human physiology and anatomy. So what I did with those missing 2 units, I took a supplemental class in the PCHS. So I took a supplemental class of 5 units of human anatomy and physiology in the PCHS, or the Philippine College of Health Sciences. So it's near Recto. For that, I paid around 11K for just 5 units. And for the duration that I took my supplemental class, fortunately, I started around June and then we ended around August, which is just in time for the enrollment. So make sure that you count your units so that you won't encounter any problem in the future. And if you're having doubts that you're missing some units, then better go to the PLM personally to get assessed. I just passed my missing grades for my missing units and I got approved during the enrollment. And now that we're done with the requirements, let's now move on to the actual contents of the MCAT. The MCAT exam is divided into two parts. The first one is the general knowledge. Personally, this is like an easier version of NMAT. The second part is a psych evaluation or just a personality test. For the first part, you need to review on the general information such as the Philippine presidents, books, authors, history of world wars, Philippine money, Philippine provinces and regions, arithmetic questions, logical questions, and some philosophers. So I have my own reviewer for this one, and if you would like to check that out, make sure to check the description box. Personally, for the first part, it's unpredictable because most of the things that I review for the general information part didn't really appear in the actual MCAT. But what appeared though are theological questions such as, if Pedro is in front of one, Nena is at the back of Pedro, June is at the front of Nena, and one is the back of Nena, who is in second place? Try to comment your answer below and I'll try to see if it's right. So this question is the same as that of what actually came out during the MCAT exam. So this type of questions I didn't prepare for this. So for the first part, I would really say that it's pretty random. I will also tell you how I reviewed for the first part. So just like how I did in reviewing for NMAT, I just watched YouTube videos and a little bit of reading from online sources. There's also an FB group for MCAT takers and I think yearly napapalitan siya. But if you haven't checked that out yet, if you're interested to take the MCAT, then make sure to check that page out. This Facebook page really gave me some reviewers and tips for the actual MCAT. For the second part, which is the psych evaluation or the personality test, you just need to answer whether it is true or false. For the part 2, I think you just need to be honest for this one because for the psych evaluation, I think they assess here the probabilities of you staying in the College of Medicine. After your MCAT exam, you would be informed on your interview date. So it's a bit weird for our batch because on the previous batches, all of the applicants got the chance to get interviewed. But for our batch, only around 150 students got the email for the interview date. So for our batch, not everyone got the chance to get interviewed. And when people didn't confirm their slots, that's the only time that they send second or third emails for the other applicants. Moving on to the interview part. Once you've been given your interview date, make sure that you come on time. You would need to take the written and oral interview on the same day. So for our batch, it's a face-to-face interview. So we were given time to write some information about us. And once we're done, we were called alphabetically for the oral interview. And if you have your interview date, then I have some tips for you. Make sure that you check out your emails because in our batch, it's pretty weird because the administration at the time emailed us for the interview date around 11:50 p.m. It's almost midnight and then I got my interview date for like 2 days after that. So you really need to constantly check your emails even at night because even during the admission, I can't forget this experience because I received an email that I need to get to PLM by tomorrow and the email got sent around 11:50 p.m. And then I got to read the message around 10 a.m. So I didn't have the time to go to PLM already. Fortunately, I followed up on it on the next working day. So for the first tip, always check your emails even at night. So anyways, you would need to take the written and the oral interview on the same day. They would give you a form that you should fill out while you wait for your oral interview. So we were given time to write something about us in that given form. For the written interview, my tip would be magpasikat ka doon. Like all of your achievements, if you're a Latin honor or you're set to graduate with Latin, yes, magpasikat ka, but also be honest on what you write because they would really check if the information that you put is correct. If you join organizations, write it. If you were the top of the class, write it. If you never had a failing grade ever since you entered preschool, then write it. Just avoid being negative during the written interview. But there are like 3 questions there that ask you on how you should deal with stress, so be careful when you write when writing your answer for that. As for my oral interview, it was pretty fast. It only took me around 3 minutes for the oral interview part. And the way that this happened is that one of the interviewee is sorting through my documents, checking my information and such, and the other one is asking me questions. When you answer questions during the oral interview part, you should be honest and also, again, avoid being negative for this. And it's not mandatory to speak in full English, But in my experience, I spoke in full English, and that I also landed a joke during my interview. I don't think if you should follow up on what I did because it's pretty risky, and I really don't know why I did that. So what I'm trying to say is that during your oral interview part, you should sound confident and that you should also feel confident. So the way that you could practice this is that you could try talking to yourself through a mirror. Think of it like you're already talking to the interviewer and that you're already answering their questions. So when you enter the interview room, you should smile and you should greet the interviewers. If it's possible, you should also know the names of your interviewers so that you could greet them properly. And once you're done with the interview, just leave a mark or say anything that would leave a mark to them. The way that I did this is that I said, "Thank you for your time, doctors, and I'm hoping to see you again, hopefully in one of your classes." So it shouldn't be exactly like that, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So you should leave a mark before you leave. Something that will leave a good impression on you. And now for my MCAT experience. To be honest, those that I reviewed for the first part, like around 90% of those, hindi talaga siya lumabas sa exam. But yung mga lumabas naman sa MCAT, it's easy to answer. The only downside of it is that it was really fast, like super fast. For me, it felt like you should answer each question under 5 seconds. And it's like pinabasa mo pa lang, kailangan may sagot ka na. What I did during those times is that yung mga mahabang passages or the questions that I think would take more time on me, I just take an educated guess so that I won't dwell on it too much, so that I could answer the easier questions on the later parts. Moving on, after the MCAT exam and your interview, we were given the schedule for our physical examination. So we did laboratory tests prior to coming over to PLM, and the physical examination is the same day as that of the enrollment. And at that time, I was really nervous to talking to other people, even during the interview, since ako lang yata yung hindi galing ng UP, UST, or other universities. But thankfully, marami ako nakausap and I already had a lot of friends and hindi talaga ako na-outcast. I mean, I'm really thankful for those people. I think I would like to take this time to thank all of the people that helped me all throughout my medical school journey. I would like to thank my seniors, Kuya Eko, Kuya JP, and Kuya CJ for guiding me through the entire enrollment process. And hello din sa mga friends ko sa PLM during the interview, Kim and also Naimi. Also sa mga nakasabay ko during the physical examination and are already my friends, Gerson, Leo, Winfield, Matthew. So if you guys are watching this, huwag niyo akong tatawanan please. Thank you for making me feel included during those times. And as a final tip, I suggest that you should take things easy because taking the admission tests such as the NMAT and the MCAT is actually the easiest exam that you take before you get into med school. Let that sink into you. My tip is that for now, let loose, have fun while you still can because really, it's really stressful. It's really stressful kahit 2 weeks pa lang kami sa med school. And don't pass up the opportunity to be with other people. Kapag in-invite kayo to parties or events, make sure to take it. Or if you're feeling guilty taking those social events, then just compromise on the time that you spent not studying because you would really miss to be with other people once you get into med school. Believe me. I'm only studying for 2 weeks in med school and it really felt like an entire month had passed. Mawawalan ka talaga ng time for other people once you get into med school. Just make sure to have some time with other people then while taking your exams. And that is it for this video series. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below. I'll try to answer them as fast as I could. I would also like to thank my organization, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines Society of Biology Students, for giving me this project. I would also like to personally thank our president, Kitty Macho Alonso, and also our SBS advisor, Dr. Lourdes V. Alvarez. Thank you for guiding everyone throughout this term. And that is all for now. As always, stay healthy, stay motivated. Thank you and goodbye.